Okay. I'm here at the University of Leiden with Professor Bob Vanderwater. Bob is coordinating the EU-ToxRisk project. So Bob, tell us, what are the goals of the EU-ToxRisk program?
So the overall goal of the EU-ToxRisk project is really to ensure a paradigm shift in chemical safety testing, making advances of new approach methods, and without the animal testing procedures. So that's the ultimate goal, and really validate or understand how we can use these different test methods into testing strategies.
So it's quite a large ambition. It sounds like
it's a large ambition,
yeah.
But we should be realistic. So the way we do it, we have case studies, and through case studies, really with a defined set of hypotheses in the context of a regulatory question, we see how we actually can use these different new approach methods in a testing paradigm. So we cannot solve it completely, but we try to ensure that we have sufficient evidence and confidence that it will be feasible in the future.
Right. And this is quite a large program, right?
It is a large program. I would say it's maybe the largest program so far funded by the European Union in this context. Third one was also a large program. But here it's 30 million only funded by the European Commission for this project, including about 40 partners.
40 partners, that's a lot of partners, right?
That is a lot of partners, but it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun too. So, what sort of challenges have you had to face in progressing the goals of this?
So you can imagine that with so many partners, and we have in the past 3 years, so we mid-term now, 1st of January we will start our 4th year of the 6-year program, but we have had about 10 case studies now, where there are different partners with the different disciplines. Of course they generate their own data, but that data should be also available in the public domain at some point, so we need databasing, but also the interpretation of the data and how we can link all the data together is very important.
So data management, data sharing, these are quite important activities on the project for achieving the results.
Yeah, so we have one particular work package where it's all about databasing, where we have several partners that are involved there. On one of the databasing, but also how can we use that data in a meaningful fashion, but also use the data to build an infrastructure to analyze that data in a coherent fashion.
So the experience has been on such large European programs that this data sharing goal and access to the data has been quite difficult to achieve. What do you think has been different that you're doing on EU-ToxRisk to ensure better success on that goal?
Yeah, I agree with that point, and it's really convincing, of course, on the first hand, all the partners that it's important to have a database where all this data is in there and can be used not only within the project, but later also by other stakeholders that want to use the data. So that's an important component, convincing them, but at the same time also say, well, if you're part of the project, you should contribute to it, and if not, there may be also financial triggers that we can motivate people to really push them to ensure that the data will be in the database.
Mm-hmm. And how important is this integrated data analysis for the goals of acceptance of the new alternative methods?
That's really important, in particular in the context of, for example, uncertainty analysis, that you look at the different data sets and combining the data, really get an understanding, what is the value of individual data sets in the context of providing certainty on the analysis that the chemicals say yes or no. And in that way, you need to look at the different data sets and do statistical analysis, for example. I'm not an expert into it, but he's an expert in the consortium that can look in that way and come to conclusions on which components are really the most critical components that will determine in the context of a testing strategy whether something will be safe, yes or no, or have certainty in the safety of a chemical.
And of course, the use of industry for their use of the outputs from the project, they need to be able to have reproducible workflows doing this kind of data analysis so that they can use it on a more routine basis. Do you think we're making progress towards that direction with the EU-ToxRisk?
Yeah, I think within the concept of one of the partners, and you are this partner, Edelweiss Connect, and has provided basically a sort of SharePoint database structure where we accumulate the data, but also then link this the sharing point or sharing base to the EBI, where we store all the data in biostudies, so that in an efficient way there will be a workflow of how we use the quantitative data sets that we generate in the project and see how that can be functionally be used in such a platform to analyze that data. And you can foresee that such a workflow, whether it's for biostudies or any other database, can be used in the future also for a more commercial setting or application with other stakeholders or industry partners, even beyond the project phase.
And some of the other research programs have had very good research, but industry has found it difficult to take that research and use it in their setting. Do you think EU-ToxRisk is changing that paradigm in terms of industrialization of the research?
We try to do our best, of course. We have one work package in EU-ToxRisk that's particularly concerned with integrating the different platforms, be it in silico technologies, but also, of course, the experimental test systems to really make them bring value together after the project, even for the industry sector. And we test that also if that's feasible. So we have a project started recently with Syngenta, where we try this out basically as part of the project in collaboration with that stakeholder to see, can we now bring together different partners in the project with their own test systems, with their own in silico methods, and go through this procedure of testing chemicals and whether our methodology can help to provide certainty whether such chemicals would be safe, yes or no.
And of course, in the end, the evidence produced by industry using these workflows from the project will have to be evaluated as evidence by regulators. What are we doing in the project for that goal?
That's a very important point, and already from the initiation of the project we actually ensured that there are regulators on board in the project, in the advisory board in particular, but also some of the partners are from the regulatory arena. During the project we were also advised by our scientific advisory board to even have a regulatory advisory board, and they helped us also to create a reporting template. It's basically based on an OCD template for case study evaluation, and we use this template now together with the regulators to report our findings, and it's in such a structured way that in the end of such a evaluation you come to a decision whether actually there's certainty in the methodology of using these new approach methods to come to a conclusion on the chemical safety. And by doing this in collaboration with regulators, they may get convinced or even understand these NAMs and then get convinced on the application of these NAMs in safety testing.
So one final question. Of course, the research being done on the program over these 6 years is leading research, but what about sustaining it beyond the project with new businesses, new jobs, so that the group of people that have developed the methods and the experience can take it forward and have further impact beyond the project.
I mentioned before that we have one work package related to that. It's up to the academics, of course, first to see if there is a particular application domain for their particular test system, if it's been working fine in case studies, and that there is also use for the future in a commercial setting. Some of the partners, including ourselves in Leiden, are already diving into direction to see if we can build spin-offs, but also the work with all our SMEs that are already in the project to see if we can build sort of a domain where we work together and ensure that there's also commercialization opportunities beyond the project phase.
Oh, very good. Looking forward to good impact from the project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks for being here.
All right. Very welcome.